Selective memory topic today. What is selective memory? Well, it's selective. We choose what we want to remember. Okay? We have a choice. Flat out like that, we have a choice. What we want to remember, we're going to remember. Simple as that. To select what we want to remember. Well, there's also a little bit hiddenness behind that too. Because what we want to remember obviously was important to us. Why have selective memory? Why live in the past when we can live in the now? Living in the now would be more common. Selective memory requires a lot of thinking. But what about when that thinking of the memory is done? Isn't that what pictures are for? Isn't that what photo albums are for? Isn't that what video cameras are for? Isn't that what Facebook is for? Selective memory. There's different meanings to that. But why capture the moment and a thought when you can literally print it out on your computer nowadays and frame it and keep it around as long as you want? We also have a choice. Once again, two different ways. We can choose to remember the bad things about us, but we have a choice. We can choose to remember the bad things about other people, but we have a choice. We can choose to remember the good things, same way. Or we can choose to create in our existence, through our now, new things. Depends on the way we live, right? Creating new memories the proper way. Taking that time out, family vacation. Taking that time out to go to eat. Taking that time out to go to the park, whatever it is. Creating a schedule. Balancing work and family time and all that stuff. You know, there's a lot of issues with that because we only got 24 hours in a day. So when it comes to all that, it's like, how do you balance it all out? Well, once again, it's communication. You know, a couple kind of gets lost in their own way of doing because we have to, you know, live and survive and make money and keep ourselves occupied or moving in, or, you know, there's always something in the way of something, whether it's health, working on health, exercise, whatever it is, right? So understanding the sense of life versus living, which is another episode that I've already recorded that y'all can look at if y'all want. But what is the value of selective memory? To me, this is my opinion, it's like there is no value of it. Like, you can open up a photo album and understand the value of that time that you took the efforts out to take a picture, right? Or a person could sit there and value that memory in the wrong way, which is in a wondering state of mind, trying to reflect back on that memory, but not too much, only with the duh type of thinking. Because there's only so many, liking those moments, or knowing everything great about that moment, right? And so it's like eventually you're going to run out of comments, you know, but you can reflect back on a picture and be like, oh, I like that moment. I like the outfit I was in, or I like the place we went to eat, or I like this, I like that, you know. And then you can share those moments, like when you're with a friend or whatever, and be like, hey, you know, this place was really good when we ate or whatever, and show them a picture and the scenery or whatever. Instead of having to like wonder while you're communicating with a friend or something. As you get lost in the moment of a memory you selected to keep remembering, then through a conversation of you commenting about it, you're going to have a conversation with a wondering state. So it's like, you know, hey, why do that when you can just pull out your phone or pull out your photo album or whatever it is, however you keep pictures. So understand what selective memory is. When you're looking at it or talking about it in a negative way, it's like, what are you remembering negative, and why are you remembering it? Is it an excuse? Is it a valid reason? Is it a blame? If it's a blame, then validate why you're blaming it on that person all the time. If you're blaming it on the person all the time, it's like, have you found peace in it? Have you communicated about it? Have you got your justice from it? Because if you haven't found your justice in it, or you haven't found a way to solve that issue, what happens from there is it becomes a lot of things. It can become a selective memory for an excuse to have others treat you with sympathy. It can cause a remembrance of only remembering that when you want to use it as an excuse for others to feel a certain way about you. And then once again, remembering that situation, is it only so much that you can remember, or is it being built up? Same thing applies. A memory, you can only reflect back on it so much. As time passes, it's like, how many more comments are you going to have towards that memory? Is it going to be the same every time? Or is it going to be a little extra involved? Like when you talk about it and it's like, it's extra coming out? Or is it the same that you remembered it? So find the excuse matter in the situation. What would be the excuse of the selective memory? So selective memory, it can cause problems, because we're really not supposed to be remembering as much like that in past issues, because life is about doing. It's about enjoying. It's about doing what we need to be responsible doing. Whether it's building a family, building a home, keeping a job, making money, doing hobbies, trying to move up in life, trying to get ahead in life, paying bills, all that stuff. Life is basically about production. How are we producing if we're holding ourselves back with selective memory? Like, it doesn't make sense. Negative selective memory, how do you get over it, right? First, it's like admitting, finding the excuse why it's a selective memory. What does it benefit you? What are the qualities of that negative selective memory that benefit you? Apply it in your life. The longer you keep it around, you're allowing that to be an excuse for a behavioral issue. So when something in the future does happen similar to that selective memory, you have a trigger times 10. And then you end up having this whole cause and effect that basically is like a skittish jump. It's like something real loud collapsing and you didn't notice it, or it just happened and a person jumps, and it's like a scary movie, Either which way, you're in public or watching a TV, however you experience, or something like that. So it's like, hey, it could be a common argument, and then bam, all of a sudden you're having a trigger because somebody chose, or you chose to select those memories to reflect back on in a negative way. How often do you use the selective memory? Is it during certain situations? Is it all the time? Is it an excuse to allow you to feel a certain way to obtain a certain goal? What does it do for you? Think about that and then understand, is it worth having selective memory? If it's an excuse, is it worth having selective memory as an excuse? If negative selective memory is the situation for some people, then you got to understand that they are literally forgetting about the truth. And that's a fact. So you got to think about that. If selective memory is a good thing and they're good memories, then you got to understand that you're forgetting about what is false that you're viewing in the now or the future choices. Because then your life will be evolved off of that selective memory. So those selective memory will cause a person to select something that they were used to and adapted to have that memory, in a sense, be replaced or be similar to allow themselves to feel like they did in that selective memory time. So selective memory is an important subject because it's what can prevent you from moving forward the proper way, or it can affect you from staying behind. And so there's a lot of ways to understand it, because it can also have a cause and effect of you not noticing what's in front of you. Noticing what's in front of you is important and why you're selecting it. Because when you select something in front of you, you're going to have to question yourself, why am I, or why are you selecting that? So however it is in your situation, understand it. My experience with it, I haven't had too much of experience with it. My selective memory wouldn't be a selective memory. It would be something different. It would be literally an example of me doing it would kind of be vibing with the person that I'm with, my spouse or whatever. Trying new things. It's kind of interesting. It's a little hidden. It's a different topic, but it can be a good thing and it can be a bad thing. But it wouldn't necessarily be selective memory with my experience. It would be experiencing selective memory with someone else. So there's many ways to understand this. But this issue can affect your choices in life. It can hold you back and prevent you from obtaining something that you wanted to pull yourself out of. What could be keeping you in the rut in life. Because understanding awareness, there's many ways to understand awareness. And when you're trying to work on yourself and you're trying to move past the negativity that has held you back, you have to understand that selective memory will make you choose what you keep on having the choice of remembering. So you don't want your old memories to affect your choices in life. You want to be able to move forward and understand that you don't have to be held back, because you could be missing something from the past that wasn't really there to be aware of, which are like a behavioral pattern. And we don't learn these things until later in life because of our experience. And so we're supposed to learn from our experience, because past situations, there could have been a lot of hidden tendencies or a lot of hidden events or a lot of hidden behavioral issues that could have been learned from. And during midlife, it's like we get the choice to learn from our behaviors. And if we want to change or not, it's called midlife crisis and stuff. And so midlife crisis is that, time to change your ways. Like, why am I having a crisis? It would be understand the behavioral issues. So it's like basically a chance. It's a chance to be able to not repeat your same pattern system that probably more than likely haven't served a purpose. If they're good memories, then it's like, okay. The only way that can be analyzed if it's affecting your life is to basically understand your life at the moment. Do you need to change? You looking for a change? Are you changing? While you're changing, don't let this part of your life affect your changing process, right? And so you always want to be aware of this issue, because selective memory is a choice. It's a choice how we want to change our behavior. Our behavior, meaning our behavior it gets us into a certain lifestyle that is difficult to comprehend and explain, because our behavior, which are affected from these things being spoken, it goes, a few different ways. Our behavior is basically our intention. Where we got the behavior from, how we utilize our behavior, how we understand our behavior, it is what it is. But our behavior also has a choice, but it usually has the intention behind it. Now, once again, our behaviors with our intent and our choices to do are basically going to allow ourselves to understand how our within is, right? Meaning what makes us feel great, what makes us feel good, what makes us feel this. So our intent leading to our within being fulfilled, that's our actions and process of taking a step forward in life and so forth. Now, when you're starting to include yourself with the spouse, now that's a whole nother thinking system. That's a whole nother understanding, because at that point you're not only understanding yourself, but you got to understand another person. And when you're understanding another person, you got to realize if yourself is triggering that other person or if yourself is affecting the other person. Because y'all ended up meeting each other for a reason. So with that being said, you got to understand the other person's behavioral system as well if you want to start calling that blame, or if you want to start calling that judgment, or if you want to start making it. Because when a person meets each other or they start building a relationship, at this point in time, if you're dealing with somebody with selective memory, it's like understand the consequences or the effects of a relationship. Because things are going to be great for the moment because a memory led you there, right? And so is the beginning really important in a relationship? No, it should just be understood. So you got to really understand what selective memory is and what it's doing, the cause and effect, and what the attraction could be. Because those are going to change throughout time. And if selective memory is still an issue in a relationship, then a person's going to have to realize and understand that why issues have occurred the way they have occurred. So understanding the behavioral system in your own relationship would understand how your choices affected the other person's within, which would then have an action of their behavior, if that makes sense. So it's like dancing. Like your step, well, which way you step is going to affect the person's behavior and then affect their action. And so the other person's step's going to do the same thing. But when you have selective memory in there, it's going to be a little different. Because whoever has that, it's going to lead them to think about a moment that has occurred. So, an example of explaining this, it's almost like a moment could trigger a person to think about this person that is a similar moment, but a different time and a different situation, but they won't even really remember the current situation because they'll be too busy thinking about the past situation. But then if you're trying to fix the past situation and not allow it to affect you, at that point they're going to start remembering the situation in the now with a little bit of the old situation that didn't even apply to the current relationship. And so it's like things slowly start having to fade out, right? But the cause and effects in a relationship when it comes to the memory, it's like What overruled? And why did it? There was a cause and effect. The good thing about negative, if you had a lot of negativity overrule your relationship, then it can be analyzed and understood through a thinking system or thinking way of that was just explained to help you realize that your relationship was affected with toxicity. And so it can allow you to understand a big chunk of negativity and work on that little bit of good that was there. So understanding selective memory is like we have a choice. Does it really have to have selectiveness in it? Because we can choose to select our now. And we can choose to move on at any time without selecting the negative memories in our relationships. Because we all have relationships. And this is why it's being spoken. It's because everybody has this issue in their relationship. Some people have the selective problem or issue. This is a good way to understand it. How we get over our issues are very important because there's a complicated way and there's not so much of a complicated way. The complicated way would be selecting the complicated way, knowing that it's not much of an issue if it were to actually be understood. Because there's always a reason that people get into a fight or an argument or a conflict. And it's usually the stupidest little thing. And it could be compromised before it gets worse. And it's these little moments that we have that we can allow ourselves to take a break and allow ourselves to think a little bit. Like what's causing it, you know? When we get over these things, it's like easy to let go when commonly understood like this. It's almost like an understanding of having that aha. And it's like instant let go, instant forgiveness. But then you have to have those qualities of behavior to have that trust, to have that encouragement behavior, allowing you to feel good about building something with the person or a relationship or whatever it is, you know, home, family, whatever it is. It puts you in that mood of getting something done, you know. And so it's like having a task that you like, and you're putting your efforts into it, you're putting your passion into it, you're putting your quality time into it, you're putting your love into it, you're putting your creativity into it, you know, how you going to build it, how you going to do this, you know, and scheduling, all that stuff. It's like changing your lifestyle for it, basically. And when you change your lifestyle for it, it's like, you know, it's worth something. And it's an amazing thing to have. So, you know, there's many ways to deal with this. So many things have a negative side effect. And this will be the worst one because of life. Like, life's important, right? And so we get through life, and by the time you know it, you know, you're older, and it's like, damn, where'd my life go? And you start trying to think about it, and it's like, do you really want all these selective memories that you chose to have? Because then that would cause PTSD. And it would cause a whole nother different type of trauma. But remember, it's a choice. So, like, life, awareness, letting go, forgiveness, kindness, being humble. This is why people go to church. This is why people get into religions. This is why people order programs on TV for depression. All those drug commercials you see, if you're depressed, call 1-800 and check out this medication. All that stuff. That's for us to be at peace, to find a solution to the problems in our life. The problems in our life causes certain negative effects of behavior that doesn't allow us to live properly, doesn't allow us to enjoy life properly. It doesn't allow us to have that comfortable, kick back, relax, no worries type of life, and just enjoying life. You know, finding a solution can be difficult, but understanding why is a lot easier. Because typically nowadays, the world we live in, it's like finding a solution, you gotta pay for it, right? Or you gotta get insurance, you gotta go to this doctor, you gotta do this, that. It's like there's a simple solution. Take the time out to think. So, when people start changing their lifestyle to be able to allow themselves to find a solution to this problem or fix this problem, it's like typically they're gonna go to, like I said, churches or doctors or whatever. And these things, these events, you know, it's like, it's difficult and it's unfortunate to explain, but it's like everybody tries to find a solution, and to be honest with you, this is my opinion, like, it's to find peace. Like, when we get older and we know life is ending, it's like we choose to end it the way we want to end it, right? And so we all have a choice. Like, do you really want to end it with a selective memory? Or do you want to know that you were able to live life and be happy about it? Because if you end up ending your life not by infliction but just naturally, as we get older, it would be properly understood as a knowing that you know you did this, you know you did it, you're at peace. Like, you don't even have to remember all these things because you would have lived your life and enjoyed it. And you wouldn't have nothing to let go of because you know that you've done everything that you can to enjoy life. And so this is why people change for the better, is to find peace. And usually when we find peace, it's like we can leave that behind and the grieving won't grieve. So it's difficult to explain, but to me, the end of life, or the end of the life cycle, should be peaceful. you have a spouse, same thing. It's like at peace, right? Y'all got through it together, y'all did this, but everything. Like, there would be no negative thinking. So being able to enjoy your life and do what you want and have what you want in life is important. A lot of people have to overcome these issues to be able to do that. So, you need help or need to understand it. Like, I hope this recording got to you in a way of understanding it. You don't understand it, like, I'm pretty sure you can leave a message or comment, and it'll get understood more through other recordings of mine. But try not to let others select your choice in life. You have the decision to make your own choice. And even though it might seem like you are making your own choice, be aware or make sure that a memory ain't making your choice for you. Be sure to make sure that your choice is made the proper way because you want to. And because it's going to make you happy. Or you can have a positive side to it and not hold any of these negative memories. It doesn't serve a purpose to let these negative memories truck along with you in life. So at some time, you're just gonna have to let them go. And this is the way to let them go. To realize why you had them in the first place. And if it's an issue with the spouse, it's communication. Hopefully your spouse will communicate with you about it. Because anything with two people, there has to be communication. So don't let that selective memory affect your communication with the person in your life or your spouse or whomever it is. Because we all deserve to be happy. And we all have choices. Make sure your choice isn't affected by other people's choices. Because who we hang around and who has issues with us can and will affect your choice. Many people do have selective behavior. And always try to look for the warning signs where a person in your life can have that selective behavior as well. Because then it's like two people reflecting on the past, talking about a bunch of past issues, which is just going to cause stir up. And the only way to better themselves is to literally live a life of another person's selective memory. So it's kind of interesting how this process or this thought process is evaluated. Because what life are you living? Is it selective? Of someone else's life? Was it a choice of yours? Was it an issue that wasn't known? Was it something that just arrived and you thought it was great, but you're really just a reflection of someone's past? That could be a stranger, but it doesn't seem like a stranger because it could be a reflection of your selective memory. That could bring a remembrance to allow that stranger to be a part of your life instantly. You gotta watch out for those things. Because a parent always teaches us there ain't one person that can't say no when it comes to what I'm about to say. There ain't nobody that can say that their parent didn't teach them to not talk to strangers. It's like saying that we weren't taught to look both ways before crossing the street, but we know we actually were. So you gotta think about these things. Are you allowing a stranger in your life as if you knew them forever? Because that's what selective memory does when you're meeting new people in life. So understand the behaviors, understand the cause and effect. Very much understand the attraction, because it's what attracted you to that new person or that stranger that allowed you to feel that you knew them forever, or that it was meant to be when it probably really wasn't. So carefully understand these things. Don't let it hold you back to allow yourself to be happy. Because there's a reason why you moved on from that selective memory. There's a reason why it didn't work out. There's a reason why things happen. There's a reason why it's a selective memory. So as you allow strangers in your life that make you feel comfortable, why is that comfortability there? You know? What reason is it there? Gotta think about these things. Because to the stranger, it could be like taking candy from a child. So, hopefully this helps you out. Don't be a victim of selective memory or other people's selective memory.